I'm Scott Moore, and I'm a performance engineer. I help to make software and applications faster, better, more resilient. Lately, there's one thing on my mind.
Where's the best barbecue at, man?
So I'm going across the country, talking about performance engineering and barbecue. Join me as we take the performance tour.
James Pulley? Is that you?
Scott Moore, man, I could really use a lift. I'm heading to Vegas.
Get in.
What are you doing hitchhiking?
I'm always up for adventure.
Listen, I gotta stay in Dallas at least one more night. There's some people that I gotta talk to, but maybe we should both talk to them.
Is barbecue involved?
What do you think?
I'm in.
Heart 8 barbecue tonight. Let's do it.
Thank you all for being here. This is incredible. We'll see where this goes, but this is our first meetup of the year. We've got DFW QAA, Ministry of Testing, and then the DFW Testers community. So I'm Brian Burknoff. I'm the Managing Director for QA Consultants here in Dallas. And what this proves is that we have a vibrant QA community here in Dallas. That's awesome, and I thank you all for being here. And with that, I'd like to thank James Pulley and Scott Moore for stopping here on their way. I'll let them describe this. It's comedians in cars without the funny, basically. But they're on their way.
Hey!
How many people do we have in here who are dedicated to performance today? Few. Yeah. Thank your local developers. Because if they had the rigor that developers had in the early 1970s, where resources were very sparse, you can imagine the size of what we sent men to the moon on and brought them home, we would be out of a job. Now, there are some side effects of this. We all remember Y2K, where we couldn't afford to spend the extra couple of bytes to store a century. You know, that's the other side effect, maybe performance engineering going too far. But that is something that keeps us busy. Developers are constantly getting the latest and greatest hardware, the greatest resource pools. Let's face it, your average developer has a 32 core, 1 terabyte of RAM, 16 terabytes of hard disk space, unobtainium, some 10, 15 years ago. And they see no problem passing 16 megabytes across the network that they don't control. And so thank them for your job, and thank them for the career that you will have going forward.
Everybody who's moved to Agile, right? How many have went from traditional software development to Agile in the last 5 years? You've had to play with it, right? Okay. Agile is very hard to do if you do it correctly. Would you agree with that? It's not just you're going to flip a switch. So here's a question I always ask. If the company is decided to go Agile, has the company decided to go Agile? Not a software development group saying we're going Agile. Because, okay, we started 3 sprints, we can't plan any further than 3 sprints, and then we got to go back and say, well, the customer gave us feedback at the last system demo, we're going to have to change the direction, and guess what? Budgeting office, we need 30% more money to do that. The budgeting office is usually not Agile. Hey, we budget once a year, you get what you get. Is that Agile? Doing it is very hard. You have to make some difficult decisions to do that, right? So we just have to think through this thing that Agile doesn't necessarily solve all the problems, right? But what it does do is it allows us QA people and performance guys to get earlier in that cycle and do it with the developers as they go. It gives us the opportunity to do that. So here's one, even though you don't have a production-sized application for performance, do I really need to run a performance test when I can sit down at my desk in a Chrome browser, go to the home page, and it takes 12 seconds to load? How do we start measuring things more effectively where it's not just about all the geeky stuff we like to do on a day-to-day basis? My database is fine. Network guy, yeah, the network packets are going through fine. And the developers, it's not my code, dude, right? But the problem is the end user is still sitting out there going, you suck, right? How many of you have been, in the last year, have been at a doctor's office, a hotel, or something where there's a receptionist or on the phone with somebody ordering something and they go, I'm sorry, our computers are a little slow today, just bear with me. How many? Because we haven't solved the problem. The end user experience is the problem, and because if we're so focused on how awesome we are as coders or DBAs or whatever, then why is the customer saying, I'm having to wait? So most people outside of this room, when they get that, I'm sorry, you'll have to wait, our computers are slow, they get a range of emotions. Sometimes it's just mild irritation. Other times it's like they really get ticked off. Me and James, we hear pennies from heaven, our eyes turn to dollar signs, and we go, I can help you with that. I want to hear what you guys are facing every day in now, 2020, the modern day agile DevOps, whatever you want to call it. You're facing different situations than we faced 10, 15 years ago. We can't keep talking about that stuff, even though those problems that we still have with performance, they haven't been solved yet. Because if they'd been solved, then why did we see what we saw in Black Friday? What are we going to see in the Super Bowl, right? If we've solved it with DevOps, if we've solved it with the rise of the SRE and the SDED and all this, then why are we still having outages?
So from a takeaway perspective, for those of you who are doing functional testing today or you interface with functional groups, just ask a performance question. Is it too long? And if it is, fix it right then. It's a lot cheaper to do so.
You know where we're at?
Tyler's BBQ.
I'm supposed to say Amarillo. Why don't you ask me where we're at?
Scott, where are we?
Amarillo. So you know what that means?
Lemon drops?
Tyler's BBQ.
Oh, that's even better.
Boneless breasts sliced, or I have a bone and half chicken. It's got light and dark meat on it.
What do you think, James?
It looks good. Beautiful bones.
How long have you guys been in business?
10 years in May, right?
10 years. Wow.
Yes, sir.
So we're here at Tyler BBQ in Amarillo, and so of course we need to evaluate Tyler and how they compare against a known reference standard now from the Carolinas. So pulled pork is certainly a reference standard that I go for. So I have some pulled pork on my plate, and I have some brisket, and I have some sorrel, and I have some potato salad.
All right, so I got a little bit different plate than you, James. I got some chicken, this is I guess a half chicken. It's got maybe a thigh, a little bit of a breast, so it's got some white meat and dark meat on it. I've also got 2 ribs here that come with it, and so I got a 3 meat platter, and it's got a little bit of brisket as well. So I think I've got a 1/4 pound of each. Got our half and half teas. I think it's ready to dig in.
Hey James, that's the petrified forest. It's like 10 miles up. Can we go check that out?
It's all dead, it's all rock, we're making good time. I'm driving, we're keeping going.
Come on, man. It's supposed to be a fun trip. Okay. Hey James, we're only an hour below the south rim of the Grand Canyon.
We should go check that out. I mean, that's a major thing to look at.
It's a big hole in the ground. Haven't you seen a hole in the ground before? They got to build a road around it. It makes the road longer. It makes our trip longer.
I don't know why I'm doing this. I let you drive, and now you're in control. You become this power hungry, power mad.
I suppose at some point you're going to say that you have to stop for biological reasons. We've got an empty
Coffee.
bottle
I need
around
coffee. I need a Starbucks coffee. That's what it is. Why haven't we had a Starbucks coffee yet? I've been in the car for 10 minutes.
I don't
There's
drink.
not a Starbucks.
I do not drink coffee. I do not care.
The nearest town is 100 miles. Where's the freaking Starbucks at?
Non-issue.
So now I've had my coffee and everything's good, so I'm talking a little bit faster than I normally would, but hey, there's a buddy.
Oh, and so we're in really good territory, and we're just awesome. And James is still driving. I don't know why, but I had my coffee, and I'm fine. I'm not mad anymore, and I don't care if we see any sights at all. So I'm just happy that I have coffee. I've got coffee and coffee. I'm good drinks.